So looking at the national budget 2026, right, we saw some allocation for climate action. For example, 150 million for energy transition fund, 2.2 billion for 43 flood mitigation projects, and also 250 million for ecological fiscal transfer. Are you satisfied with such allocation?
So basically, if we are talking about whether this kind of initiative is climate friendly, I would say that we are not there yet. For example, in terms of the disaster management, we can see that the approaches are much more reactive rather than proactive, and we should actually have a much more proactive approaches as well, since we are facing this kind of climate crisis in an annual basis. Yes, ASEAN power grid system is in the budget, but then we actually need to work on making our grid much more smarter so that we can utilize the renewable energy that we are building up. And in terms of the mega projects that you are saying, the highly concerning thing is in terms of like our mechanism for environment protection, such as FPIC, EIA, is still very much weak. It's important to ensure that we work on this kind of mechanism first and strengthen this kind of mechanism, then we can actually have a much more sustainable transition towards the energy transition.
How about ecological fiscal transfer? People question about how effective is that, and we do not know whether the state government is doing something good or where do they use the fund. There's no evaluation and post-mortem.
So basically, when it comes to forest protection, currently the main issue is in terms of the transparency. The fund are actually being utilized. So I think these are the two things that needs to be in place. So we need something like proactive approaches, such as developing a biodiversity conservation strategy, as well as a better mechanism in order to have a much more better transparency of how the fund is actually being utilized.
Last year, before the budget, civil societies has been invited to several town hall sessions. Did the government do the same thing, or did the minister invite Greenpeace this year?
Yes, however, this kind of consultation is actually a one-off event. We are only be invited once for budget preparation. It's really hard for us to convey current climate crisis situation and how it's impacting the community. In terms of transparency and also accountability, it's very hard for us to understand whether those points say out during the consultation is being taken into the real document. So a much more better approach for this kind of consultation should be like a much more regular, probably a quarterly kind of meeting, and through this the government and also the CSO are able to identify and understand the area of concern and how a better kind of decision making can be made in terms of either planning for the budget or any policy making.